Before we dive into today's video, let me give you a little bit of context. So I'm talking to Sarah Turner. She is a high-ticket copywriting coach. She runs an online program that has over 4,000 students. And previously, she's been running her program using a combination of Kajabi and Facebook groups and her website and a bunch of other things. It's been a little bit of a mess. And recently, we moved her entirely onto Circle, and the results have been awesome. So I encourage you to listen to this entire call. You're going to hear about the challenges and the pains and the friction that she was experiencing that you also might be experiencing, and then some of the awesome benefits that she has now experienced and her students are telling her after moving on to Circle. Like, for example, nothing has really changed about the way she's running the program. She's still doing her live coaching calls a couple times a week, but now she has 50% higher attendance on all of those calls. So there's a few things like that I think are gonna be some really good nuggets that I encourage you to stick around and check out. And at the end, if you feel like this really resonates with you and this is something that you wanna learn more about for your own online business, reach out to me and let's schedule a call and we'll talk about it. So now we're gonna switch over to our Zoom call with Sarah. Stick around and let's dive right in. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So first, what I thought we could do is I'll ask you a few questions at a high level so that people have a general understanding of who you are, what you do, all of that stuff. And then dig into some more of the details and talk about what it's been like to switch to Circle and some of the results that you've gotten.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Perfect.
Okay, cool. So yeah, why don't you give everyone just a brief overview and background about how you've gotten here and what type of business you run?
Yeah. So my name is Sarah Turner. I am a copywriter and I teach copywriting. So I have a program called Write Your Way to Freedom. It is a higher ticket program. It includes a course, a community, and live coaching. And we're going on 4 years. And a big part of our program is the actual community. And so we were using Facebook, a Facebook group, but we seriously outgrew that. It was just clunky and distracting and, all the reasons that we love to hate Facebook. And so I was looking for alternatives for a little bit. And then when I found Circle, I was like, oh, there it is. And so we decided to move over. It's been the best.
Awesome. What were some of those things that were happening or that you were experiencing that made you start to look for something else?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, so many people in my community just like want to be off Facebook. Like Facebook is just like really gotten kind of gross and distracting and is just kind of a negative space to be in. And our community is super positive, very uplifting, very focused on like entrepreneurship and starting a business and mindset. And so it's like literally the antithesis of like what Facebook is, right? So it just didn't feel good. Again, because it's a higher ticket program, I thought it just felt pretty unprofessional to be hosting our group on Facebook, actually. So I wanted to have something that I had a little bit more control over, that felt really cohesive, where people could find things. Like some of the biggest problems we had with Facebook is that people couldn't find resources. The search function was kind of clunky. People were kind of like moving off into smaller groups, which was a huge bummer because that kind of hurts the collective community when conversations aren't happening in the general discussion of like the main group. And I mean, overall, just general dissatisfaction with Facebook was a major one. So yeah, those are the main ones.
Yeah. And you also have a course that goes along with your coaching program. Is that right?
Yeah. So we have a course. It first and foremost, like, is a course. And that was the other thing is, the course was in another platform and Facebook. And so you had to go back and forth between the two and finding workbooks and resources and things that people needed and spreadsheets. Like, it was just like all over the place. And so we wanted to have it in like one nice, like, beautiful place where everybody could find everything they needed, and like interlinking within Circle has been great, because they don't have to like move off to another platform to like find the things they need to find.
Yeah. And so were there other challenges that your team was facing as well when you were running everything on Facebook and then using a course platform to run the business?
I mean, I feel like I've covered most of the challenges. Oh, actually, there were some other ones. So, one of the things that we had a problem with is if somebody decided they wanted a refund, we had a few people that would just like change their name of their profile within Facebook and it wasn't associated with the email they signed up with. And so, when we needed to like remove them from the community, we had to do some serious like sleuthing. That didn't happen a ton, but when it did happen, it was like, it was problematic. Like there was one person in particular who was like just not a pleasant person and causing a bit of trouble, and it was difficult to like pinpoint them within the community. So yeah, like little things like that. And being able to find the right people. That was another one. I actually just the other day, like one of my favorite things about Circle is I got a lead for a copywriter, not in my niche, but in a different niche in e-commerce, in the beauty niche. And I just like used the badges in Circle to like search the members and find somebody who had that niche and like went through all their websites and was like, okay, and had like some people I could send leads to. So it's just like the profile setup, because it's like for the actual community and not for Facebook, is so specific and customized to like exactly what we need, which is really amazing. Like what I just said, being able to find people who work in different industries, being able to see their level of experience like right away. So yeah, those are some of the other things that like Circle has helped us overcome. So yeah.
Yeah, and I remember one of the other things that you had mentioned was as your community was growing so large on Facebook, you started to have people breaking off actually and creating like smaller subgroups. Can you speak to
Yeah, and I kind of touched on that, but I'm really glad you brought that up again because that was a big part, a big problem that was kind of hurting the collective because people were just like intimidated by the number of people in the group. And so I could tell there was a real like need for smaller groups. And so one of the things I love that we set up in Circle, and we limited it so it didn't get like into like a little bit of a runaway situation, but we allow them to have shared interest groups. So like moms could connect, or people, we have a lot of people who have like lived full time in RVs, and we have a lot of people with chronic illness. And those people have like, shared walks of life and things that are a little bit unique to their situation. And they were kind of just like breaking off and like leaving the group so they could connect on that deeper level. And so one of the best like benefits is that we gave them a place to do that. So it's still like within our community, they don't like leave. It doesn't, bring down the conversation, but they have the place to get that like little bit of extra support, because those are all very real sub communities within our community that we kind of like have identified over the years. And they're like so beautiful because, they're like trying to run a business and manage their health. And they have a place to be like, hey, how are you guys doing this? And other people can jump in and support them in that way. So they have these like nice little sub communities. And I think that feels really good for people too. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the nice things about Circle is that it starts to customize each person's experience based on
Mm-hmm.
which of those sub communities they're in. So
Mm-hmm.
only those people in like the RV group, they're going to get some of those posts automatically in their weekly digest every week, or they're going to see that on
Mm-hmm.
their news feed, and that's not going to clog up anybody else's feed. They're not even going to know that that content exists unless they choose
Right.
to join those groups.
Right. It was perfect. The way it is perfect for making sure it doesn't get too overwhelming and too much, but also keeps them in and, gives you a little bit more control at the end of the day, which is important.
That's awesome. So
Hmm.
it's been about 30 days since you've made
Yeah.
the full migration and you've been living the circle life, no
Hmm.
more online course platform, no more Facebook groups. What has that been like for you to be off Facebook?
Oh my gosh, so good. I haven't logged into Facebook myself, which is like so nice. I really don't like Facebook. I deleted as soon as we moved over, I deleted the apps off my phone, which felt really good. And yeah, I like don't log into Facebook anymore. So for me personally, that's like the best because I just don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know change can be hard for people, and you have quite a large audience, quite a large community. Moving
Yes,
tools and platforms can be a little, yeah, there's some turbulence sometimes. What,
always.
what
Yeah.
have you been hearing from your students about the whole experience and moving in and now being inside of school?
Mhm. So we've moved like platforms before. We've moved like email platforms, course hosting platforms. Like we've done that before. And so we knew kind of what to expect. People just have like resistance. Literally, when I like posted the announcement, one person was like, I don't like change. And I was just like, look, buddy, you have to push back against that because this has changed for the better, I promise. And so we had to know that. So I'm not gonna lie, like moving tools is like clunky. It feels frustrating for some people, but ultimately, overwhelmingly, the feedback is like, thank you for doing this. It's so much better. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to like click the link and and sign in. Because what we've also noticed is most of the issues are user error. And so you do have to kind of like set aside some time to be able to like help people walk through things. And like, I don't know, it's never fun. Like it's never fun to like send a Loom video being like, click this button. Is your computer plugged in? You know what I mean? um, but it was a few weeks of that. Now we're on the other side of it. And everyone is like, this is so much better. And attendance to events are like probably like 50% higher. I mean, significantly higher. The search function is wonderful. The badges are fun and people are obsessed with them, probably a little too obsessed. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was worth it. But yeah, there's definitely resistance, but that's just like human nature. I can't fix that one. I wish we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have gone totally pro with the badges. I think you guys use the badge
Yeah.
more than anyone I've ever seen, but it works. It's amazing.
It was so good. Like I mentioned earlier about the cert, I was like, oh, right. They have badges based on the industry they work in. I'm gonna search like through that and also filter through when they signed up. So I know they have more experience. And I was like, oh dang, this is like amazing. So I'm really glad we used the badges the way we used them.
Yeah, and it's really fun to see how much people get excited about badges. It seems
They're
like they just love
obsessed.
it.
They're obsessed.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah. So it's fun.
So I would love to talk about, what the experience was like to go through this transition and to work with
Mhm.
us because it seemed like it was kind of a blur, but it was a sprint, definitely. We wanted to make sure that we could start this and finish this pretty quickly and make
Mhm.
it as painless of a process as possible. So just thinking back about when you initially found Circle and then you decided to reach out to us for help, why did you reach out for help? And thinking about it now, do you think that you could have figured all this out on your own and just done it by yourself?
I mean, I mean, we probably could have figured out done it by ourselves, but it took you guys probably 6 weeks. What it would have probably, I feel like, taken us like 6 months to implement. And also, like, not the best use of my time, not the best use of my team's time to like completely learn a new tech and then migrate all that information over. And not only that, you guys gave us some really helpful best practices, which was, it was good for implementation, but also kind of in building my own confidence because with the change came so many requests for things. They were like, we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. And I had to be like, you think you want that, but that's actually like not going to be helpful for the community or progress and whatever. It's more distractions. And we moved off Facebook to not be distracted. So it also like gave me the confidence and like when those requests got in to not just kind of comply with everything, which was really like an unexpected value of just working with you guys, having seen that you've set up communities and know like what works well and what's unnecessary. But like honestly, like it would have been, I can't, you guys worked so fast. And not only that, you migrated over like an insane amount of content. Like, I mean, it was like what, 3 years of like weekly live Q&As, like 200 live Q&As, including all of the dates, all of the like data that goes with them, all of the course content. I mean, it would have been, I think my team would have cried. I don't know how you guys did it, honestly. They would have been like, please no. Because on top of it, they'd have to learn circle. So it wasn't even like, yeah, it would have been way too much and just like not a good idea. So
Yeah. I find a lot of times Circle out of the box, it's deceivingly simple. Like it looks so
Mhm.
easy and simple and there's only a few buttons to click. But then you realize if you haven't seen what a lot of the other top communities are doing, you
Mhm.
don't know those best practices, you don't know the way that they're leveraging different features and just ways to like adapt your program to Circle or vice versa, then you probably wouldn't be taking full advantage of it and you wouldn't be creating the best user experience.
100%. In fact, one of the other values of working with you guys is that we had such a thorough onboarding process set up that when people moved over, we kind of like we got them to get the most out of Circle. You know what I mean? Because if we had moved everyone over, like if I had done it myself, I probably would have like unknowingly like moved everyone over and then been like, oh crap, we need an onboarding process. Oh, like a month later, let's add some badges. That sounds fun. But then getting everybody to comply like in steps rather than like, okay, we're moving over, like do these like steps. It wouldn't have happened. Like people wouldn't have done it. And then there wouldn't, people would be like intermittently like using the resources and the badges and not know where things were. And we would have had way more questions about like, where's this and where's that? So we did, I feel like one of the major benefits was like, you guys were like, this is what needs to be done when people like first set up in Circle so that they get the most out of it, so that you don't have to answer the same question over and over again. And so I would have had no idea like to do that. So that was a huge one.
Yeah, that's awesome. We love to try to remove as many errors and mistakes and do-overs from that first process, just so that the launch goes as smooth as possible.
Yeah, that was huge. That was so huge.
So, I'm sure you have worked with a lot of different consultants and agencies
So
and
many.
experts and all of these people that you pay to try to get some great result for you faster than you can get it for yourself or better. But, I've seen this on software websites and as well as agencies and consultants, what they have on their marketing site, what the promise is, and then what
Mhm.
the experience is of actually trying to get that thing realized is
Mhm.
not always what you expected it to be or wanted it to be. So
Mhm.
I'm just curious if you could speak to maybe what the general experience was like working with
Yeah.
them versus maybe some of the other consultants or agencies you might have worked with.
Yeah. I mean, no exaggeration, working with you guys is the like best experience, highest value, and like smoothest like situation we have ever experienced. Like I can't tell you the number of times me and my CEO messaged about you guys being like, they are amazing. Like if every, contractor we worked with was like you guys, like things would this the last 4 years would have gone a lot more smoothly, you know. So I can't even like it sounds, I don't know, maybe hyperbolic, but it's like it's the truth. Like you guys were so professional, so on it. Like so on it. I was like, you don't have to, like it's okay, not urgent, because I knew you would do it like instantly. And yeah, and it just made it all so smooth. And so it was the best, like truly. It was the best working with you guys. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Likewise. It was a great experience working
And
with
we
you.
had fun. I would be like, I know this seems kind of extra, but can we do this? And you guys would be like, hell yeah. And that was fun. It made it fun to like get creative, especially once I started to see like the bones being assembled and started to understand Circle and like what we could do. And also you guys were so good at like educating us along the way so that it wasn't like when our time was done we were like, oh crap, like we don't know how to do anything. You like taught us like bit by bit along the way, well only like what we needed to know really to be able to like run our community. Which was that's like huge. So many contractors just like do it themselves, don't want to share. I think like maybe they're like doing it because they don't want to share. I don't know, but you walk away kind of like, I have no idea what that person did. And I have no idea how to like fix anything when it breaks. And you guys gave us so much support in that way as well. So that's
Yeah, because it really is a collaboration and a partnership, right?
great. Hmm.
We're trying
Hmm.
to build your vision together.
Hmm.
And that might look similar to what you've been doing in the past. But then once you move into Circle, you realize, oh, there's some new opportunities now based on having everything in one place and some of the
Hmm.
features and things that we can do. And so having you and your team really dig in and also take some ownership and be willing
Mhm.
to put in the time and effort to learn. Because once we're done, you guys have to keep it going and running it. So we want to make sure that you are super equipped and educated and confident that it's not just going to fall apart or you're not going to know how to run it. So I loved how you guys would come back with different ideas and suggestions. We're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Like they're really getting it and wanting to make this an amazing experience.
And our coaches were so stoked when we moved over. And then when they started seeing it and I was showing it to them, they were just like, I mean, so many of them had the same comment, like, this is what it should look like when you spend, thousands of dollars on a program. You should be like onboarded into something like this beautiful, not into like Facebook, and so they were all so excited and equal and like so fired up and had ideas and like things they wanted to do and implement to like make the engagement better and just connecting easier. And so, yeah, everybody was like really excited about it.
That's awesome. So, hey, we're getting to the end of this conversation, and I really appreciate your time. I'm curious who you think would be the best fit for doing this type of project and for working with us. If there's someone that you recommend, and then any kind of final words about, the whole thing.
Yeah, any course creator or coach who honestly, this is any course creator or coach who values like the success of their students, really, because everything, the way Circle is set up, it really gets them more engaged. And like the weekly digest emails, I'm obsessed. They're so good. I get so excited when it comes every week. And they pull people back in, like people who are like, not logging into Circle, they see that email and they're like, whoa, this looks amazing. And then the attendance is up and all the coaching and all the live Q&As. People know where to find things. So like, honestly, if you're a course creator or coach who like genuinely cares about the success of your students and in building community, then like I would move to Circle.
Yeah. So, Sarah, thank you so much for your time. That's one of the things that I really noticed about you right away was that you genuinely care about the success of your clients and that you
Mm,
guys do so much to support them, to make them, just be connected to the right resources, to the right coaches, to make sure they're on the right events. You run multiple live events every single week to
mm,
help them based on the stage of the journey that they're on, because
mm,
you're taking people on a transformation and helping them change their career, their skill set, and be able to do a completely different thing with their life. And so that takes a lot of time. It takes education, knowledge, but then it takes doing the work and getting feedback. And that's one of the things I noticed about you and your community. You really have a culture where people are giving each other feedback. They're
mm,
helpful. They're willing to spend some time and energy, giving people advice, and just your coaches are really bought in. So I love working with people like you and the mission that you have, because you're really doing something great for the world and you're changing lives. So it's been awesome to help you take that kind of next step in designing an online program
mm,
that delivers a wow experience for your students, because your content and your coaching have already been doing that. And then I think the last piece is just having that digital experience, kind of put the bow on top of everything. And like you
mm,
said, not just dropping them into a Facebook group after spending thousands of dollars, but now they really have this private
mm,
community area where it just feels really high end and really high value. So it's been
mm.
a total pleasure and joy to work with you. And I know that I'm just excited to continue to watch your business grow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And likewise, it's like been such a pleasure working with you. I mean, I am so grateful that I found you guys. And I remember on our first call, I was so worried about engagement. I was like, listen, our community's so engaged. I like am so worried I'm gonna mess that up. And then you were just so reassuring and kind of like laid out so much stuff for me. And our community is more engaged now. And so I don't know, that's just like that was the most exciting like thing for me, was to see that improve, because I didn't know that there was even room for improvement. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your team. They work their butts off. So
Thanks a lot, Sarah. It was a pleasure. I'll talk
yeah,
to you
you
soon.
too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to our conversation today. I hope you were able to take away some nuggets. And if you feel like you are interested in getting similar kinds of results, if you are a high ticket coach, course creator, you run an online program, or you have an audience in a community, and you just want to have a discussion to see how we could help you improve that, reach out to me. There's going to be a link somewhere around here, and we will schedule a time to talk. And I'm looking forward to it. Have a great rest of your day.